Hi everybody. In this video, we're going to read the next chapter of A Legendary Truth. Chapter 6. Detective Looker was hiding. He hadn't been caught by Team Plasma, but he was frustrated by not being able to help his friends more. I know the international police backup is on the way, but at this rate, Team Plasma could grab the Lightstone, he muttered. But even if I get out there now, I don't stand a chance. He didn't have any Pokemon, just the piece of pipe he was using as a weapon. Team Rocket was also watching the action from the sidelines, but they were happy to be there. Jesse and James were getting ready to make an entrance and try to steal the Lightstone, but Meowth encouraged them to keep waiting. Slow and steady wins the race, he reminded them. Meanwhile, Ash, Pikachu, and N were still trying to get back above ground. They hadn't been able to find a passageway out of the cavern, so they'd started trying to dig their own tunnel out of the stone. It was exhausting work, and so far they'd made only a tiny dent in the wall. Ash noticed N had stopped working. N, what's wrong? He asked. Are you sensing things out there again? N shook his head, then bowed it with a somber look on his face. I can't sense anything, he said. I could hear their screams echoing loudly in my head, but now everything's quiet. Ash was worried, but then his optimism won out. You know, N, Professor Cedric Juniper has taught us a whole lot of stuff. He has all these adventure rules, he said, and looked up, curious. Ash continued. Adventure rule number 4. You never give up until the very end, because there's always got to be a way out. Get it? He gave Anne a big grin. I'm not giving up until the very end. So let's dig and get out of here. Ash went back to chipping away at the stone, and Pikachu resumed digging with renewed energy. Soon, though, Pikachu's paws were too sore to keep it up. Pika, it said sadly. That made Ash realize his mistake. Oh yeah, I forgot, he said. He pulled out his 5 Pokeballs from his belt. Let's get everybody to help us out. He tossed them into the air, and one by one, Pokemon appeared in a flash. Oshawott, Pignite, Snivy, Crocodile, and Charizard, who let out a huge blast of flame. Okay, gang, Ash said happily. We want to get out of here, so will you give us a hand? His Pokemon all cheered in agreement, and then started discussing their plan of action. Oshawott leaped up and sent a Hydro Pump blast ball into the wall of dirt. Anne watched, amazed. Hey, great idea, Ash said to Oshawott. That water will make the dirt a lot softer, so it's easier to use dig. When Oshawott finished, Crocodile stepped forward and jumped straight into the dirt to dig. Next, Charizard used Dragon Tail, aiming his swirling tail right into the tunnel Crocodile was making. Then Pignite and Snivy came over and helped move the dirt out of the way, handful by handful. Pikachu used its tail to scoop dirt too. Ash cheered on each of his Pokemon as they made their moves. They made such a great team. Oshawott held its paw up to Ash. Oshawott. Of course I'll help too. I'm coming, Ash answered, hurrying over. The team of friends kept it up, repeating the same moves to dig and dig. And had been watching the action as if in a trance. Incredible, he said to himself. Is that what it's like? The bond between Ash and his Pokemon? He shook his head and ran over to help dig next to his friend. On the surface, Aldith knew that her leader, Ghetsis, was soon approaching. She was anxious not to disappoint him. I've had enough. Force them to go underground quickly, she barked at Barrett. Hurry and secure N and bring me the Lightstone. Barrett jumped to action. Golurk, use Shadow Ball and widen that hole, he commanded. The Golurk blasted their shadow balls directly at the hole where Ash and N had disappeared. As the smoke cleared, Team Plasma's Pokemon approached the hole to see if they could get down. Raida's Crocodile burst through the ground behind them. The mind-controlled Pokemon and the Liepard stared at the Intimidation Pokemon down. And it popped back down on the ground with a Crocodile. But it wasn't running away. It was just making space for Charizard, who burst out of the surface with a huge roar. The rest of Ash's Pokemon jumped out behind Charizard, followed by Ash. He offered a hand to help Anne, who was climbing out with the Lightstone. Though Iris, Celine, Professor Juniper, and the excavation team were still locked up by Team Plasma, they were thrilled to see that their friends and the Lightstone were safe. Ash and Anne looked around, taking in the situation. They noticed Team Plasma's leaders up on the rise above them. So it was them, after all, Anne said. Barrett and Aldith also noticed the two young men. Secure N and the Lightstone immediately, Aldith ordered. Barrett commanded Liepard to use Shadow Ball at N. N didn't move out of the way quickly enough, but Ash's Charizard jumped in front of N and took the attack's hit. Then Golurk sent another Shadow Ball directly at Charizard, knocking it over. Pignite did not like to see that. It ran over to its friend, worried. As another Shadow Ball attack came toward Charizard, Pignite sent a flamethrower back at it, blasting the attack away in midair. Then Charizard lifted its head up and talked with Pignite. Pignite seemed to be telling Charizard to not push itself so much. The Pokemon clearly cared about one another. Anne watched the exchange and was astonished to observe their bond. Ash called out, "Now, Pignite and Charizard, double flamethrower!" The two Pokemon each blasted the move, and the two streams of fire twisted together into an extremely powerful attack. It made a direct hit to Team Plasma's Pokemon, and Pignite and Charizard cheered. Then Crocodile was ready to take a turn. To Ash's surprise, it spun around and started to use Dig. The huge cloud of dirt rained down directly onto Team Plasma's Pokemon. Ash praised the strength of Crocodile's Dig, and then saw that Oshawott and Snivy were asking to help too. "Sure, Oshawott, use Hydro Pump." The stream of water smashed right into Team Plasma's Pokemon. "Snivy, use Leaf Storm," Ash called, and the swirling leaves made a direct hit as well. His whole team of Pokemon cheered for one another, and N watched in awe. That strong bond isn't just between Ash and his Pokemon, Hen thought. When Ash is involved, an amazing bond forms along the Pokemon themselves. Barrett was frustrated that the battle had not gone his way, but Team Plasma had its secret weapon. "Control those Pokemon too," Barrett said to Colress, who was more than happy to oblige. Professor Juniper, Celine, and Iris could see what was about to happen. "Ash, quick! Get everyone back in their Pokeballs," Iris called. "Hurry up or they'll be controlled." "Controlled? Huh?" Ash was surprised, but quick to act. He took out two Pokeballs and called Charizard and Crocodile back. Colress's beam was locked onto the remaining Pokemon, and he was just about to fire it when... "No, you don't!" Looker bellowed, running over to the Pokemon control device with his piece of pipe raised above his head. Before he could get to Colress, two Team Plasma grunts tackled him, but it was enough of a distraction for Ash to get Pignite, Oshawott, and Snivy safely back into their Pokeballs too. "We made it," he said with relief. "They're just fine. Can't control them now." Then he saw Pikachu standing nearby. "Pika?" Pikachu wasn't sure what was going on, but everyone else started to understand. "What about Pikachu?" Iris cried. Celine gasped. "That's right. Pikachu doesn't like to go in its Pokeball." Ash was scared. He ran over to try to save his best buddy, but just as he was lunging to reach Pikachu, Cars' beam hit it.